Let's get some perspective now on what the real story is from another Nobel laureate, Columbia economics professor Edmund Phelps. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get your reaction first to this news over the weekend from the G20. You know, we hear calls for fiscal responsibility, targets now, but are there teeth to any of these?
Yeah, it was an amazing change in the rhetoric in just 48 hours. I don't think anybody understands it yet, but I think you're right. There are no teeth in it whatsoever. Every nation is free to pursue the fiscal policy it wants to pursue. Mm-hmm. And there are quite a few central banks in the world that are independent even of the G20. So I don't think very much has changed. The rhetoric has changed. It's good to see a recognition that there is a problem of huge deficits, and which are hurting the developing world. Well, and there's a problem that if these deficits continue, the public debt will mount to such a level that it will push up interest rates worldwide.
It's hard to refute what the market is demanding in some ways that these central bankers pay attention to here, right? But
well, the market is sometimes crazy, but I think they got this one right.
Well, are you more or less worried about a lost decade here in Europe in the wake of these
I am
pledges?
very much worried about a lost decade. I think there are two problems. One is that with the end of the speculative craze, banks found themselves nearly insolvent. And now in Europe, we're discovering near insolvencies. We're about to discover some near insolvencies in European banks too, it's said. So that's a tremendous drag on recovery. So we're going to have only, I think that means a very slow recovery. But let me get in one more point. There's another thing that's sort of little noticed, that between early 2001 and the end of 2006, the stock market was dead in the water. Silicon Valley was losing investors. Pharmaceutical innovation was declining. Mm-hmm. Everywhere you looked, there were signs of declining dynamism in the U.S. economy. And that also points to a lost decade. The trouble is that that's permanent. That won't be self-healing. At least it's not obvious why it should be.
Well, to inject perhaps a little bit more hyperbole, but perhaps the bottom line to this is what your fellow Nobel laureate Paul Krugman put forward today, that we are perhaps on the verge of another Great Depression. Are we?
I think we're in the recovery phase of a moderate depression.
Can depressions be moderate?
Relatively speaking.
It's all relative. Spoken like an economist here, but tell me what you mean by that.
Okay. The Great Depression was great for a reason. Mm-hmm. We had an unemployment rate of 25%. This time the unemployment rate topped out at around 10%. I hope it won't go back there. It's come down to 9.7. So I wouldn't call it a Great Depression, but I think we are in the midst of a long period of 8, 10, 12 years of high unemployment by post-war standards. Mm-hmm. With unemployment rates maybe going down to 7%, maybe not.